Alright, boys and girls, we use the Yukon as a bender. So I bent up this piece. I measured the back. I made my marks. And I measured it. So the catalytic converter's on this side. You see the bends I have in it? So the catalytic converter is towards the driver's side on the front, but in the back there is a the exhaust hangs down like close to the rear axle, so that's towards the passenger side. So what I did was, if you could see them, there you go, I used those blocks, jacked up the truck, put the blocks on the far sides of the diamond plate, and I let the truck down on it. And then I lifted the truck up again, I put 2 more blocks, and I set it down again. Now I know this kind of has like some spring to it, so it's going to bounce back. So I didn't film it because I honestly did not think it was going to work. Yeah, I mean the Yukon's what, 5,000 pounds, so yeah, jacked it up, let it down, it bent, jacked it up again, built it up, let it down, it bent. So if you can see, like, the bends on this side on the bottom, but on top the bends more on this side, and that's because of how the exhaust is routed underneath the little Honda. All right, I'm not gonna finish this today, I'm on my way to work. So okay, boys and girls, we slid it underneath, and we're gonna start making marks where we gotta drill holes so we can mount it. I got that little bend in there. It's about a 3-inch little bend, and that's to clear. You could see it now. You could see the cat hangs down between the I mean, they're not really frame rails, but you know, that's what we're gonna mount to. We get under there. All right, guys, it was raining before, and now it's like super duper bright, so like the contrast isn't really coming out so good. I mean, well, it's not really focusing all that great, but this is where I plan on mounting them to. So like I'll drill holes so those could pop out. Maybe I'll drill a big hole so that could pop out, and I could screw straight to this. I think I'm just gonna drill and tap it. 3/8 holes. So that was the plan, and there's one on the other side, matches, and we'll see what happens. Let's get this shit show on the road. All right, boys and girls, so the big deal is that you give that thing enough room to breathe, because that thing gets pretty damn hot. So you got the little belly in there. The thing comes, it hangs down below this frame rail like 2 inches, about 2 inches. So I got the bend in here like 3 1/4 inches from the ground to the inside. So we should have enough clearance. We shouldn't be burning up anything in the car, and it's also bent the whole way, so it's gonna have air that's able to come out the bottom, come out the back. That's my crazy neighbors screaming at each other. I love them. These two are the best neighbors ever. All right, so essentially it's up against those quote-unquote frame rails. I got to make a little cutout for this. Shouldn't be too bad, and the same thing on the other side, and then we could start drilling some holes and bolt it in. How's he gonna take the cat now? It'll take him a week. All right, see what we can do. All right, so the hole saw cuts it pretty quick. So you cut the holes with the hole saw, and we cut it out. The saw is all the Diablo. It's an old one. So we'll go stick it back underneath, measure it up, and we'll see what we got. All right, so here we are. You got those little cutouts. So I pushed it up a little bit, so I got like 1 inch of room. I don't want to make it too low because then you don't want it to drag. And once it's all bolted in, I'm gonna try and push a jack under here and get the front lip to turn up just a little bit. But we'll see what we can do. I can still get to the oil filter in there. And hey, is that thing wet? That thing looks wet. Anyway, we'll get to the oil filter one catastrophe at a time, right? And that's it. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take like a 1/2 inch drill. I'm gonna drill through the diamond plate with the 1/2 inch drill. Then I'm gonna get a 3/8 tap and tap the car. This way it'll accept, the threads will accept the bolt. And it's got a little bit of wiggle room. You can move it around a little bit. So, alright, we'll come back to you. Alright, so let me tell you, the hole saw is not really the way to go. So, not this. So I had this is an old one, so you know, we stepped it up. I drilled those 1/4 inch holes. I put it up against the frame rails. I drilled the 1/4 inch holes, and I drilled them through the frame rails. And then I pulled the piece of aluminum out, and I drilled them up to 3/8. And then this is, you know, big 1/2 inch. So that was the first one with the hole saw, and then I barely got through the second one. So I just drilled them out with the twist drill. And I stepped them up. It was so much faster and easier. It didn't kill all the batteries for the DeWalt drill. Excuse me. So now we got these 5 on each side, and we have to tap the frame rails. We'll tap the frame rails to 3/8. We'll pop those in. I think it's strong enough, and that should be the end of the story. Gotta go to Home Depot, get a tap. All right, boys and girls, as you can see, it's getting dark outside. So what I had to do was, that was just sheet metal. I thought that was a little stronger than that. I know it wasn't a frame rail, but it was like really thin. So if you look, let's see, you look over there, there's like a large hole over there, and then there's that large hole over there. And I was able to just use like a piece of number 12 solid wire, copper wire, fish these in there and tighten them up. And then on the panel, I hogged out the holes because I'm going to use big washers anyway. So this thing should sit flush up against that rail. So there was a little change of plans. I couldn't do it exactly the way I wanted, but I still think it's going to work out. There's no textbook on this shit. Alright, boys and girls, this is how it looks like from the bottom. I'll cut those off. I'll cut that off with a Sawzall. This is the driver's side. We'll go to the passenger side. Alright, boys and girls, not really worried about corrosion. I cut the long studs off. So the washers, I mean the nuts holding that down, and I'm fine with that. So the one in the back didn't catch. It's not bent up enough, but I'm not worried. It's not. I used a pry bar. It's not moving. So we'll go cut the other side. We'll go take a look from the front, and that should be it. So I know this isn't the best video. I'm laying on my back doing this in the driveway, but beautiful piece of metal be putting underneath your car. I'm sure the guy's not going to spend a half hour like I spent all afternoon putting this in. Yeah, I'll spend a half hour trying to take this thing out. Meanwhile, all the bolts will probably spin in there, and you have to really grind these off to get it off. Anyway, but hey, that's a problem when you got to fix something. All right, let's go look at the front. So there it is. The new cat in there. It's about a ½ inch away on the bottom, but that's part of the pinch weld with the covers on, so I'm not too super worried about it. If I feel, because there is a decent gap there if I feel there's a lot of air going up here, I could get something that'll cover this too. And that'll help increase MPGs, because the less air underneath your car, the more miles per gallon, more aerodynamic. So, alright boys and girls, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm gonna go barbecue, thank a veteran, thank an active service duty member, and good luck with your projects. Don't get your catalytic converter stolen next to the Verrazano Bridge.